This video is brought to you by Dr. Kristen R. Bromley's Guitar Method Book Series and Online Music Academy.
Hi, I'm Dr. Kristen Bromley. Welcome to my online academy. I love being here helping you with playing the guitar. In this video, I'm going to go over an approach for counting rhythms. Now, it can help to learn to count the rhythm that we see written in notation so that we can play it accurately on the guitar. So learning to count rhythm can actually help us with our playing of that rhythm. And it can help us understand the way rhythm works in music a little bit better. So I'm going to be going over an approach that works really well. This video accompanies the Theory and Technique book from my Method Book series. In that book, we're on page 12. This video should help with the materials there on page 12. Okay, so as we get started with counting rhythm, we're going to look at simple meter. A couple videos ago I explained the difference between simple meter, compound meter, and odd meter. So there's some differences with each of those, and with counting there's some differences. So you may want to check out that video if you haven't seen it. But most of the time we spend our life in simple meter, which is like 2/4, 3/4, 4/4, for example, those time signatures. And when we're reading in those time signatures, the simplest thing is to keep track of the beat and a measure, and give each one of those beats a number. So in 4/4 time, there's 4 beats in that measure. We would give each one of those beats a number. So 1, 2, 3, 4. If we're in 3/4 time, there's only 3 beats per measure. We give each one of those beats a number. 1, 2, 3. And we just start over after we go through a measure. So with 4/4 time, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. With 3/4 time, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. If we were in 2/4 time, we could do 1, 2, 1, 2. And even when we're in other types of meter, really that's the foundation of it. If we can kind of keep track of where the pulse is, either at the beat level or a subdivision of the beat level, then we can find where to put those rhythms. Okay, great. So where do we go from there? Well, let's use 4/4 time as our example for a little while here. It's the one that we play in the most. 3/4 time and 2/4 time work the same way. They just have less beats in the measure. And then we'll look at compound meter and odd meter in just a minute. But let's start off with 4/4 time. So the first thing that we would do in counting is to recognize where each of those beats in the measure are. And we can just say them out loud. 1, 2, 3, 4. If we have figures that only fall on the beat, it's really easy to just keep counting 1, 2, 3, 4. Keep track of that pulse and then note where the actual rhythms come in that fall on that. So if we go back up here to the board, remember a whole note is worth 4 counts. It's going to be worth 4 of those beats. A dotted half note is going to be worth 3. A half note is going to be worth 2, and a quarter note is going to be worth 1. So as we are counting the rhythm, we're going to be keeping track of that beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to be noticing and keeping track of how long each one of these lasts for. And we're going to hold them out for that length while we count those beat numbers, remembering 4, 3, 2, and 1. So if we have a measure that starts with a whole note, we know it lasts for 4 counts. We can count 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to hold it out that entire time. We go to the next measure, we'll start over again with 1 with whatever figure happens. And on page 12, that beginning example there is just that. First measure is a whole note. Then you have 2 half notes. Remember, these are worth 2. So I can count 1, 2 as we're holding that first half note, and then 3, 4 as we hold the second one. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I had a whole note for the first measure and 2 half notes for that second measure, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I just keep saying those numbers, keeping track of that pulse, keeping track of that beat, and then I put these figures right where they belong on the beat that they fall on. The next example, the next measure, has 4 quarter notes. So it'd just be like 1, 2, 3, 4. So I count each one of those and I put each one on the beat that it belongs on. So it's a matter of taking the length of these rhythms and counting the beat and then placing them where they fall on the beat. And that's where we like to get started. You'll see another example that has a half note for the first half of the measure, then 2 quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it works just as easy as that. The next one has a dotted half note followed by a quarter note. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So we just work in that fashion, and that's how that works. When we get to the subdivision level of the beat, so all of these are whole figures. They all take up one beat or multiple beats, but they're not taking up pieces of the beat. When we get to the subdivision level, we have that happening. For example, when we have eighth notes, we've divided the beat in half. 2 eighth notes equals a whole note, or sorry, two eighth notes equals a quarter note, a whole beat. It would take 8 eighth notes to equal a whole note. Sorry about that. But 2 eighth notes divide a beat. So we need a way to count these. What we do is the eighth note that falls on the beat, we give it the number of the beat that it falls on, and then the one that falls in between the beats, we say and. So 1 and 2 and. So if I had quarter notes back to back, 1, 2, 3, 4, then eighth notes would be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So that's how that would work with eighth notes. When we do a triplet, we looked at triplets, or when things are grouped into 3, as we'll see, but really we're looking at a triplet. So 3 eighth notes together, that's going to be 3 eighth notes squeezed into the space of 1 quarter note. We use the number that the initial one falls on, the one that falls on the beat, we use the number of that beat, then and 1 and so if we had quarter notes, we'd have 1, 2, 3, 4. If we had tripletized eighth notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and if we have tripletized quarter notes, we use that same sort of thing, 1 and or 2 and so you'll see that in the last measure on that first line. You'll see some tripletized eighth notes when we get into the counting examples. We don't actually see a triplet there with the counting example as it is, but it's the exact same with tripletized quarter notes, tripletized eighth notes. If we had a tripletized 16th notes, if they were into a group of 3, whole notes, half notes, it's all the same. We do the number of the beat it falls on followed by and. That's generally the best way to approach doing those. We'll see an exception when we look at compound meter, which we can also bring back into this time. That exception is you can just count it like 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. Count each of the ones that are part of it, and I'll explain why that can be valuable here when we look at an example with the 6/8 time. But generally speaking, 1 and 2 and is used, and then we'll look at the alternate options here in a sec. When we get to 16th notes, we're subdividing that beat by 4. The eighth note spots, which would take 2 16th notes, we still get the number for the one that falls on the beat, and then we use the word and for the third one, which would be where this one is up here. So these two things line up top to bottom. The in between those two places where we have the extra 16th notes, we use E for the first one there and So 1 E and 2 E and so if I had quarter notes, I have 1, 2, 3, 4. If I have eighth notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And if I have 16th notes, 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and so that's how that works. Now, of course, you're going to have a combination of rhythms happening in a measure. You see lots of examples there on page 12. What you can do is once an subdivision of some sort is introduced, you can count that whole measure at the subdivision level. So I could, even when I have quarter notes, be thinking 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, even if the whole measure doesn't have eighth notes. So if it was, let's say, 2 quarter notes and 2 eighth notes and then a quarter note, I could be thinking 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Counting at that subdivision level can help us find where those are. Once you get used to that, you might just drop it and only think the 3 and on that beat. So you could go 1, 2, 3, and 4 when you get used to it. But if you need to be subdividing and actually counting everything at the subdivision level, that can be helpful. It can be helpful when you get to 16th notes and do it that way. Let's say you have dotted figures, for example. When we have dotted figures, that can really help. I didn't put it up here on the board, but we have the dotted quarter note. So we have, which is the length of a quarter note and an eighth note together. That one's going to create some trickiness with counting. So if I use the subdivision, I can keep track of where that note comes in. So for example, if I have a dotted quarter note followed by an eighth note and then 2 quarter notes, I could be thinking 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, because that will help me find where that goes. So using those subdivisions can help. When we get to the 16th note level, that can be as well. Maybe I have 4 eighth notes and then 4 16th notes followed by a quarter note. I would have like 1 and 2 and 3 and a 4. But it might help me to be thinking 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and as I get started, kind of keeping track of that subdivision in your mind. That isn't shown specifically on the page. What you have specifically on the page shows the subdivision names that go with each of those figures. But you can keep track of the subdivision through the whole measure rather than just counting the beat number. It might help you as you get started, at least, with keeping track of the subdivisions. So if you had a dotted eighth note followed by a 16th note, it may help to think 1E and so 1E and so you can find where it comes in. It can really help to count at the subdividing level. Now what happens over time is as we work on mastering rhythms, and in the next several videos we're going to go through the exercises that allow us to do it. To do just that. There are a lot of common rhythms that get used, and the more we just get familiar with seeing them on the page and playing them and then what they feel like and sound like, the less we need to count and the more we just can keep track of the beats and we know what a given figure, a given rhythmic figure is supposed to sound and feel like, and we can just play it. It becomes lots more automatic. But as we get started, it can help to slow it down, figure out where those counts are, and have those counts happening right inside how they fit with the beat. Okay, so that is, simple meter works this way almost exclusively. Not 100% of the time when we get into triplets, which we'll talk about here. So compound meter is where we have something like 6/8, or the eighth note is the subdivision, and we are subdividing our beat into groups of 3. So we have 2 beats in 6/8 time, as we will have learned about in that video that talks about that, and they're each subdivided into groups of 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The challenge with using what we used over here for the groups of 3, with the 1 and 2 and this works just fine, unless you start getting 16th notes in a meter like this. Then you're kind of going to be tripping over what kind of verbiage to use. So when 1 and 2 and, or if we were in 12/8, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, or if we're in a time signature where we've got those triplets written in, it's the same thing. When that isn't going to work because we've got 16th notes thrown in, it can be really helpful to either count the subdivision 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then if 16th notes are thrown in, you can just throw an and in between them, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and. So it gives you a way to kind of count it and find it. Another option is to just 1, 2, 3, so still count the beat number, and then 2, 3, and then when you get to the second beat, 2, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3. If you have 16th notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 2 and 2 and 3 and you can keep track of them in that sort of a way. So that's a good option, an alternate option, especially good with when you have 16th notes. If everything stays where all you're having is eighth notes and quarter notes in this kind of a context, same thing. If the triplets only ever have those eighth notes, then it works great to just do 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. But if it doesn't, then one of these alternate options tends to work better. When we get into an odd meter, you remember odd meters have the subdivision written down here, but our groupings of the notes together is different. So like 2 plus 3 is one way that 5/8 can happen. So if 2/8 notes and 3/8 notes, they all get the same amount of time, but they're grouped together differently, which changes the metric feel. So with these, it's the same kind of thing. If we have 16th notes showing up, it gets a little tricky. So you can do 1 and when you have the group of 2, and 2 and when you have the group of 3. Sometimes with 5/8 it could be the other way, so you might have 1 and 2 and. The challenge with that is that we're going to be programming into our system the 1 and is a triplet feel, like we just have that triplet attitude. And this is not going to be a triplet at all, in the sense that each one of these is going to have the same amount of time as the 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if I try and go 1 and 2 and I have to really think to not turn that into 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and so with that in mind, it can help to just count the subdivisions 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 the same way up here, or 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, which is probably the option I kind of go to 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can do it either way. And then of course when we have 16th notes, you could go to the 1 and 2 and you just take what we have here as the subdivision of our beat there. Now you just treat 16th notes as a subdivision of the 8th note with 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, and with 16th notes if they're all there, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and those kind of counting systems helps us find where those figures go. So you got a lot of examples drawn there on page 12 that kind of give you an idea on how this works. We're going to put it into practice. In the next several videos, we're going to work on the exercises together that are found on the next few pages. And we'll start simple. I'll give you some tips on playing with the types of rhythms that come together in that. So it's going to be great. You get to jam along with me and the drums, help us keep track of the beat and work on some rhythms. And of course, you can be counting with those rhythms and learning to feel it out. So it's going to be fun. Take care, and I'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching this video. If you found it helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. And be sure to check out more great content. You can find more information about me and my products at KristenBromley.com. Take care.